In his King Follett discourse, Joseph Smith taught what should have become a fundamental doctrine. He taught that the mind or intelligence of God is eternal, without beginning or end. If it had been believed by the Church, it would have transformed its doctrine. Even today, science has struggled with the origin of the mind, referring to consciousness. Joseph said that man's mind or intelligence is co-equal with God. The Church has struggled with understanding this statement, though it has the plainness that the ancient Book of Mormon prophet Nephi valued. The footnote to this statement in the teachings of the prophet Joseph Smith expresses dismay at the word co-equal. Joseph couldn't have used that word, and it must be an artifact of a flawed record. But this ignores that 3 of the 4 original accounts in the first composite account reported that the prophet said co-equal. It was the word Joseph Smith used. Only Thomas Bullock diverged, replacing immortal for co-equal. A look at the Webster Dictionary of the time, published in 1828, attests that there was no word co-eternal in the American lexicon. On the other hand, co-equal is found with the following meaning. The question, of course, is what did Joseph mean by using co-equal? Thomas Bullock understood co-equal to mean eternal. That was what he wrote down as a replacement in his notes. The Joseph Fielding Smith, in his footnote, understood it similarly. He argued that co-equal should have been co-eternal. This is likely the primary sense of what Joseph was driving at. He said as much a moment later. He then used co-equal, directly linking it with the eternal nature of both God and spirits. The bracketed co-eternal was inserted by Joseph Fielding Smith, who objected to the use of co-equal. But why the objection? If everyone understood co-equal to mean eternal in this context, then what could be the objection? Joseph Fielding Smith was objecting to any suggestion that the mind of man is equal to God. But this is not what Joseph believed or meant. Later in the same discourse, Joseph made it clear that God was a higher intelligence than man. Man was capable of enlargement to godhood, but was not equal with God from the beginning. To properly understand the prophet, we need to look at the context. Joseph was not comparing God and man in mortality, but as intelligences. That is, man's mind or intelligence was co-equal with God's mind or intelligence. As intelligences, God and man were equal. Before God was God, he was first a mortal man. As Joseph put in the same discourse, God was once like we are now. God became God through enlargement from one degree to the next. This is the essence of the eternal plan, the obtaining of eternal or godly life. Or put differently, God was not always God. He first started at a small degree and capacity. He started as an intelligence and, going from degree to degree, advanced to a spirit, then to a mortal man, and lastly to godhood. In this sense, Joseph was absolutely correct in stating that, in the beginning, man and God were co-equal. Co-equal means, among other things, being equal in the same rank or power. When God was an unembodied intelligence, he was not a god, but simply an intelligence equal to all the other intelligences around him. They were all co-equal in rank and power. Joseph then describes the eternal nature of intelligence as self-existent. Self-existence, as Joseph used it, refers to that existence possessed from one's own nature and not by the act of any other being or cause. This was a radical concept at the time, since only God was believed to be self-existent. Joseph is now applying it to all men. What this means is that man's intelligence was not created, not even by God. Joseph made this very point.